To the 12 tribes of the children of Israel scattered abroad, in the name of the Most High Jehovah, or Creator, and Jesus Christ of Nazareth, or King, I bring you greeting. We're continuing our series on the Knights of the Round Table, being Black, Negro, Hebrew, Israelite, Jacobin, Jacobite, Jacobus, Early Christians, because they were the ones who conquered the earth for Christ and spread the gospel worldwide. As if history was rewritten and the Bible wasn't clear as to what was going to happen. There's going to be false teachers, false artists, false prophets, false Jews, false everything. You just have to dig deep to find the real things. So, yeah, the Knights of the Round Table, they were Negroes. See the headband? That's in the Bible. Okay? The armor in the Bible. Put on the full armor of God. The javelin in the Bible. The habergeon in the Bible. The round table in the Bible. Because making a big round table for whole 150 nights, it's not an easy task. That takes divine skill. So yeah, Christ was a carpenter. And also a lot of the Israelites were carpenters and builders and smiths and fighters, holy warriors, okay? Because remember, our God is a man of war. We have had to conquer from the days of Egypt until now. And from the days of John the Baptist, the kingdom suffered violence and the violent take it by force. So yeah, if we didn't fight the holy wars, we wouldn't be here to this day, because it's not for lack of trying that they've been trying to kill us. So we have had to fight the Saracens, idolaters, the Romans, the Inquisitions. All of those have had to be fought for us to establish these lands in the West. When the East was great, it was the Holy Roman Empire. Those were the Negroes, the Israelites ruling that too. So today we're going to look some more at the Knights of the Round Table. So some of the books that I use to show knighthood. This one, Sir Galahad was a knight, and Galahad is a Greek form of the word Gilead. He was one of the Knights of the Round Table. He's in the Maccabees too. Also, that's just like an Hellenistic or Greek form of the Hebrew names, like how Joshua, they changed that to Iason in the Maccabees, or Jason. So, some of the books that I use, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Le Morte d'Arthur is actually written by an actual knight. And he says right here that, yeah, for this book was ended the 9th year of the reign of King Edward IV, by Sir Thomas Marlowe Knight, and Jesus helped him in his great might, as he is the servant of Jesus both day and night. Does that sound like fiction to you? Or sound like people who deal in the gospel? So some of our names in our families and in Jamaica is like Lancelot. Sir Uwain is on page 53 of this book. You have Dwayne, that's my nephew. You have Wayne, Wainwright, Wayne Road. You have Wayne, you have Gawain. We have a lot of names like that. We have Hector, Joseph of Arimathea. Children are page 534, 535. Sir Galahad, Sir Lancelot, the late son, descendant. You have Hermitage, page 533. Fellowship, 534. So all of those you'll see based on the book. And it tells you in the book that they were black like India ink. Okay, so you can buy it and read it yourself. So some people think the Knights were not black, and yeah, a lot of us descend from the Britons, the Irish, the Welsh, the Scots. All of those Europeans, they expelled them into the Americas. We were able to come into the Americas because Black King James and his descendants were ruling at that time. Okay? So, this is Mordred, I think is in Arthur. It said, the queen answered, what know I? For dark my mother was in eyes and hair, and dark in ear and eyes I am. And dark too was Gorlos, yea, dark was other too. That's other Pendragon. Well nigh to blackness, But this king is fair beyond the race of Britons and of men, which show you the race of Britons at that time were a dark black race. Okay, they are still the Knights of the Round Table, because this whole book is about Christ and the holy wars, and they are fighting the Saracens and the Muslims on page 515. Patrice, that's one of my schoolmates, page 637. And one of the knights were that name. So armor, you can look at First Maccabees. Winchester, page 650. All these names are in our country. Okay. See Winchester there in the Knights of the Round Table on page 650 of this book. And then it's Winchester, wait there, right here on the map of Jamaica. Okay, so it talks about where the children of Israel were when they got expelled from Europe. They went into Jamaica and the islands and the Americas. Okay, so some of the things you can look at is names like Baptist, Barbary Hall, Bath, Beckford, Crawl. Even in South Africa, you have the same name where the Negroes are. Okay, Belfast, that's in Ireland, it's in Jamaica. Bethany, Betheltown, Black Hill, Black River, Black Stonehenge. You know Stonehenge over there? Yeah. So Blue Hole, Blue Mountain, Bluefields, Bohemia, a lot of those are in Europe. They're also in Jamaica. They're also in Georgia. For example, in Culloden, you see Culloden here. This is Culloden, Scotland. And you see the image are white, but when you dig deep into the books and the clues, they're black, because it said the Battle of Culloden was fought on this moor. That's why you see Sir Maureen as a knight, and the moors are in Jamaica, Moreland Avenue, Westmoreland. See Westmoreland there? And we have Moreland Avenue in Atlanta, predominantly black areas. Same thing, there were a whole lot of them in Spain and Europe, predominantly black, ruling there. The Holy Roman Empire, those were Negroes ruling. Anything you have to see with do with the cross, it have to do with Negroes, okay? The graves of the gallant Highlanders who fought for Scotland and Prince Charlie are marked by the names of their clans. So we are a very clannish people, or a very tribal people. So you see Prince Charlie there, so, and it's this Culloden right here is in Scotland. This Culloden is in Jamaica too. Let me see, where is it? Culloden. See there? Culloden, and it's in Georgia, because we have go back and forth between Culloden, Georgia, which is predominantly black in Georgia too. Jamaica is predominantly black, and Scotland at that time was predominantly black. So on this battle it says, inscription of the Jacobite monument erected by Duncan Forbes, 10th of Culloden in 1881. Duncan's Trelawney, how are you there? Because Duncan's is in Jamaica too, and Duncan is a popular last name. I'm not good at the map, so you see Trelawney, Duncan's there too. And Clarkstown, that's why we wear Clarks. Like, see Duncan's there, Duncan's Crawl. And those Crawl name, you see them where the Negroes are in South Africa too. So you have Stuart Town. Stuart was the line of kings that King James descend from. So St. James there, King St. James is Christ's brother by Joseph. And you have Hanover, the house of Hanover, those were royalty too, and of course Westmoreland. You have St. Elizabeth, St. John's mother. You have Manchester, and the capital of Manchester is Mandeville. He's one of the early explorers to the Americas from the 1200s, long before Columbus, long before slavery. So we were called West Indians because the British Empire encompassed the whole West. And remember, Jamaica just got independence 1962. So my foreparents, they're all British. They're United Kingdom subjects. So they controlled the earth already at that time, which is why we were able to come into all these lands and name them after our foreparents. So St. Anne, that's St. Mary's mother. St. Mary is right beside her, right there. That's St. Mary, Jesus' mother. St. Andrew, that's St. Peter's brother. That's where we live. Portland, where we live. A lot of the knights' names are in Portland too. You have St. Margaret's right there. If you look in the genealogy of a lot of the kings of Britain and Europe, you'll see a lot of these names in them too. St. Thomas, St. Catherine, okay? All those are royal names. Clarendon, Port Royal. So, even Port Antonio. So, Barbican was also a knight technology, okay? So, when you turn over the map, you will see that Barbican is in Jamaica too. You know, because we take the technology, the castle technology, the Jerusalem technology, the Assyrian technology, Barbican. That's right there in Kingston. And you see where them name? Kingston, Port Royal, Duke Street, Queen Street, Castleton, Trafalgar Park. You have Trafalgar Square in London. You have it in Jamaica right there too. So Barbican is night technology. That's something that they use. You have Tavares Garden right here. Tav is one of the letters of the Hebrew alphabet, okay? You have Trenchtown right there. When Jesus said, when you see Trenchtown, when you see Jerusalem encompassed with trenches, flee into the mountains. That's how we got Trenchtown. So, that's just how you go through and show that the knight's name, they live on to this day. Because Hector, he was one of the knights at the round table. And we have Hector's River in Portland, okay? You have Duncan's too. So, see, Christiana, Bull Savannah, Bryan Castle, Burn Savannah, Savannah also in Georgia, Calabar in Nigeria and also in Jamaica, Camperdown, Scottish, Campbell's, that's the descendants of Mary Queen of Scots, Cardiff Hall, that's in Wales. And it's in Jamaica. And then we have Scots Hall. Okay, we have Ness Castle, New Forest, Pembroke Hall, Pedro River, Pedro Cross, Paul Island, Patrick. You know St. Patrick's of Ireland? Paradise, Palmer's Cross, Oxford. So, no Ethiopian, Egyptian names are in this thing, basically. These are more Bible names, okay? And where we came from, our foreparents: Glasgow, Glendevon, Golden Grove, Grange Hill, Cypress Hill, Culloden again, Dundee, Duncans, Durham, Kilmarnock, Kings Valley, Kingston, Kingsville, New Forest, Newcastle. We have Holywell, Mount Zion, Northampton, Norway, Niagara, Petersville, Philadelphia, just like the original Pilgrims. So you can get some of these books and you can read them. Culloden, this is by Tony Pollard. And this one is Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. So some of the things you will notice is that the Bible tells you that there was going to be people who say they're Jews and are not Jews. So the Khazars, those were from 1618 to 1048, they became converts. They went to Jerusalem and all over to find the Hebrews to teach them how to be Israelites or how to copy Israelite culture. And that's how they're in the Holy Land now. That was prophesied by Revelation 3 verse 9 and Revelation 2 verse 9. The synagogue of Satan, who call themselves Jews and are not. Khazar of Eastern Turkey. And if you know, Thyatira in Revelation is where Satan dwells, and that is in Turkey as well. Okay, so the prophecy that's happening with us now is the school system, where they teach you slavery didn't exist, the Israelites didn't exist. Apparently there are 12 tribes in the book of Revelation for nothing, because the Israelites are falling off the face of the earth. So now is the time when we are looking at our history, and Jeremiah 16 verse 19 is where it says, O Lord, my strength and my fortress and my refuge, in the day of affliction the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely Our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. So the whole iconoclasm and the whitewashing of history, them saying the knights don't exist, is just, they're gonna learn that their forefathers were the ones who taught them lies. We didn't teach them lies. I grew up in Jamaica. I didn't see any white person till I was about 7. So we were taught by our own people, and we were always taught that we're Jaja children. And we are the children of the Most High. That's what it means. Jaja is short for Jehovah. So, in these books, you see the night books, they talk about the Savior. The people who are in Israel now, the Ashkenazi, they don't believe in Jesus Christ. They don't believe in the Bible. They're mostly atheists. So, they won't be talking about Christ. But the real Israelites, the black Israelites, Christ is all we do. So this one is Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. My cause is cross my guide. So he prayed he spurring his steed. So you see they pray a lot. They talk about the cross because that's what Jesus died on. Okay. So thrice the sign of our Savior on himself made, which means they were Catholics. And John prophesied about the Catholics. You can look at 1 John, 2 John, 3 John, and Revelation 13 as well. And it said to Jesus and St. Julian, they pray to a lot of saints, which the both sides tell you don't pray to no saints. So even though we have St. Mary, St. Andrew, St. Thomas, we don't pray to those. We pray to Jesus Christ of Nazareth. And that's it. So he talk about the battlements in Isaiah 54 verse 12 to 17, Deuteronomy 22 verse 8. So that's Hebrew Israelite technology and castle technology. So they built under the battlements in the best style, courses jutted. Romans, they don't build like how we do. They have a more capital style of building. Look at the White House and you see that style? That's more Roman style. Romans and Grecians, they were never holy or righteous either. Listen to the United States national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance. It's to a flag or a standard, because a standard is a flag, and they were worshiping their flags from antiquity until now. So that's why we don't worship flags. If you listen to the anthems of the Caribbean and the pledges, it's mostly about Eternal Father and our Creator. Okay? So it said no better Barbican had ever been beheld by that night. And I already show you Barbican is one of those places in Jamaica on the map. So they did the high holy days. And it says, and harbor in that house while holy day lasted well cheered. So they were the same children of Israel because they did the high holy days. Barbican is a fortified outpost or tower on a castle, sometimes with archways. And you notice the archways technology in Jamaica is very popular. And also the balusters, which come from Assyria, because some people don't think the ancient Assyrians were black either, but yes, they were black. So it talks about sword and buckler, talks about that in the Bible. St. Peter. So these are actually real books that you can go and read and see. It's all about Christ. It says, may Christ make your good grace. Okay? And they were dressed in fine garments. So you know how Negroes spend money more on clothes than anybody else. Okay, so the buckler in the Bible is in 2 Samuel 22:31, 1 Chronicles 5:18, 1 Chronicles 12:18, 2 Chronicles 23 verse 9, Job 15 verse 26, Psalm 18 verse 2, Psalm 18 verse 30, Psalm 35 verse 2. So it talks about buckler in Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and it talks about it in the Bible. Okay. So it's all beaver hood, is broad and bright, and his beard all beaver hood, is brown in color. Badger skin, Ezekiel 16. It talks about the prince of a people with ruddy gold rings again. Ruddy is the color of the Israelites. Okay. So it talks about Dover, Gavin, that's a name. That's common in Jamaica. Godfrey, Jeffrey, same thing. Pembrokeshire, you saw Pembroke Hall. So you have Patrick Town, and where's Pembroke? Pembroke, as you can, L-M-O-P. Say Pembroke Hall right there. And Penlean Castle right there. So a lot of castle technology is what the knights did, and that technology is even in Genesis. And tower technology too. Archers. People fail to realize in the book of Numbers, that's the fighting men of the number of the children of Israel. Okay? We live in paradise. Paradise is from our Creator. Okay? Canterbury. You remember the Canterbury Tales? It's in Jamaica too. So we teach ourselves. Those are our writers. Because we didn't have any white teachers there growing up. Yes, Catherine Mount. Mount Salem, Catherine Hall, Albion, Glendevon, Bottom Pen, Norwood, Paradise, Red Hills. So, all these names that are in the books, they are there too. Okay? Morgan, that's like Morgan Heritage, and all of those. See Gawain is the same name as Gavin. So anybody in Jamaica who name Gavin and Gawain will have the same name. So we have Gawain, Wayne, Duane, Lancelot, Gwalentrin. Any GW name, those are Welsh names. Like my mom is Gwenny, like Guinevere. Vere is a popular name in Jamaica too. So, and it was about the Holy Grail. And the Holy Grail was about the chalice, the cup that Jesus Christ drank for. You have Glastonbury here on page, I don't even know, 153. And Anglo equals angel. Saxtons. Joseph of Arimathea, he was there, sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Many were in England, in Gaul, which is France. So you'll notice that a lot of the knights were from Gaul. And also they were fighting the Romans, okay? You have Sir Lavaine, which is like from Wayne and Gawain. And that's page 639, page 699 to 700. Sir Zadok, remember Zadok the priest? Look in the Psalms. Sometimes they spell it different, but it's pronounced the same way in the Bible. It's spelled Zadoks. So this one is Sir Zadok. You have the bishop on page 714, page 717. It talks about Christendom. 718, the Christian realm. Page 725, it talks about Babylon. Babylon is in the book of Acts when they call Paul a babbler. It talks about the Tower of London. That's where they usually lock up a lot of the Israelites when they're trying to slaughter them. The royalty, that is. It talks about the sacrament, page 733. Host is how the Israelites describe their army in the Bible. That's page 734. Dreams and visions. Remember Joseph and him dreams. Remember Daniel interpreting dreams. That's page 734 as well. Guinevere became a nun. If you want to know where King Arthur's tomb and her tomb is, page 741, 741. Dover is a night place. Dover is in Jamaica too. Talks about the Bishop of Canterbury or the Archbishop of Canterbury, page 745. Almsbury, 746. That's where King Arthur and Queen Guinevere are buried. Also, remember the fact that graves and castles might be in one place then, like 1,000 years ago, doesn't mean they're going to be there now, because a lot of conquering has happened over the time. Look at Jerusalem now. It's been taken over. The Bible says Jerusalem is going to be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be completed. So if you go over there now, half of the graves are gone after the buildings are gone. So I guess people expect to go into Europe now and to see everything as it was 2,000 years ago. But it doesn't work like that, because we're always conquering. So in this book, they celebrated the Feast of Pentecost. That's on page 289. That's in Leviticus 23 verse 16, Exodus 34 verse 22. It talks about madness and being exiled, page 291. Cornwall, it talks about Cornwall, Cardiff, Ireland, Priory, Scotland, Wales. Scots Hall is in Jamaica, Cardiff Hall is in Jamaica, and that's page 311, 307, page 297. It talks about Paramore, which is the lovers And Ezekiel talk about the lovers of the children of Israel and called them her paramours. That's in the Bible, and it's page 313 in the book of Le Morte de Arte. There's a severed hand miracle on page 534 in the Quest for the Grail. And the hand was reconnected automatically, because there are atheists who said there's no incident of people having severed limbs where it happens to get reconnected. That's on page 534, one of those miracles. The man took up the hand in the next hand and he walked with it and it reconnected it. Saracen is the same thing as the Muslims. Some of them wanted to be Christian, some of them wanted to fight against the Israelites. That's what Muhammad did, and they still do that to this day. That's page 514. Turks, page 750. Page 514, I think one of the Saracens, he got baptized. And also Joseph of Arimathea is on page 622. He said there's wax wrought. You know, the term is used in the Bible a lot. And that's on page 27. Talks about Jesus Christ and adultery. Now look at the map. You have Galway, Ireland right there. So even Dubh, D-U-B-H in black, is black in Ireland. Okay? That's where Dublin comes from. And Jeremiah even, they said Jeremiah was there in Ireland too. So you have the Outer Isles. The Most High say is going to bring us from the Isles of the earth, where mostly island, I-S-L-A-N-D, and island, H-I-A-G-H-L-A-N-D people, and hill people. From back in the day till now. Scotland, it's got England right there, so and Gallis. Who call themselves Gallis? Jamaican man. Are you familiar with that term, the Gallis? Maybe now you see where it come from. I don't need to change Gallis ways. Okay? So Sherwood Forest, yeah. You know which part that there too? It's there Portland. It's in Jamaica too, and it was right there where Robin Hood, Little John, and his merry men, Friar Tuck. When we are going to school, what we buy with lunch? Tuck Shop. So we have Sherwood Forest, we have Tuck Shop, Little John. That's in my family name too. Little John, their last name. You know. So this is what the map look like. You have York. We have York Castle. We have Wharf. See Wharf there? Wanna go clear no goods? Not down a Wharf. So Essex, a lot of our descendants came from the kings of West Essex, and they fought the Holy Wars. So we've been fighting these holy wars for a long time. You see the cross of Jesus Christ, and we're going to be fighting till the end. So Almsbury, Salisbury, Glastonbury, and Avalon. Joseph of Arimathea was there. Cardiff is in Wales, and Holywell too. See Cornwall there. We have Holywell in Jamaica, Cornwall in Jamaica. St. Michael's Mount. St. Michael is the angel that guards the children of Israel from being wiped off the face of the earth. Him and the other archangels. So Arthur's Britain. See? The cross of Jesus Christ, this is not a joke. This is real. Okay? We are the ones who fight the righteous battles in the earth to this day. See, Windsor, we have Windsor Avenue and the House of Windsor. So I used to live on Windsor Avenue. And you have the Henrys, the Windsors, the Henrys, the Charles, the Edwards, the Catherines, the Annes, the Marys, the Jameses. Those are from the names of the children of Israel. All of those are our family names right now. And the Stuarts, even Lovell. He was one of the knights. That's my neighbor. Okay? So all these knight names, you can come to our country and you can find their children exist to this day. Anna Rundell. Okay? Remember, Maryland comes from St. Mary. And the 13 colonies were formed by the children of Israel who were fleeing religious persecution. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts was a theocracy. And the Commonwealth of the Children of Israel is in the Bible, which is where the United Kingdom gets its name from. Okay? So, Arthur's war against Emperor Lucius. That was one of the Romans. So, we were not the Romans fighting the Romans. We were the Israelites fighting the Romans. because they were the same ones who crucified Christ and sacked Jerusalem and sent the children of Israel into slavery. And the Ashkenazi, see the word paramour there on page 313, and it's also in the Bible. So the word Ashkenazi comes from Japhet. In Genesis 10, Ashkenazi, they are children of Japhet. And Japhetites and the Edomites and Greeks, the white ones, they're all related. Okay? So Glastonbury is right there too, and that's where Joseph of Arimathea was. So it talks about the Antichrist, and you know the synagogue of Satan is Antichrist. So Genevieve brought it as a dowry together with 100 knights. And you know dowry is in the Old Testament. See Stonehenge there in page 154. And I think, where's the Stonehenge? I thought Stonehenge. And see Stonehenge there again. Right, so that's how you link up that is the same people. Hector, one of the knights, he was in Jamaica too. So here we go. We ask Monmouthshire, Camelford. Like we have a lot of names like Wallingford, Wallenberg. Those names, or Ford by itself. Those are common in Jamaica. In Cornwall, Queen's Camel, Glastonbury, Cadbury Castle in Somerset, and we have Somerset too. I think I showed you Somerset Falls already. So we're looking at the books of the Knights of the Round Table, and then we show you where they are in our country. Somerset, right there. Okay? See Somerset? Okay. So it talks about the Antichrist and the powers of darkness, and they have them worshipping at Stonehenge. And you know, when the idolaters go anywhere, they move the idols with them. So it says Godfrey credits him with having brought the giant dance Stonehenge from Ireland to its present site, having been instrumental in the begetting of Arthur upon Ingreen, wife of Gorlois of Cornwall, by Uther Pendragon, and that was Arthur's father. And Arthur is in history as existing as well. So these are not really legends or make-believe. You can find them in the earth today. See, that's how old English is. Most people can't read that. See, so that's why a lot of the things have been spelled different and translated to modern English. Okay, so that is how you go and match up the children of Israel where they were and find them in the earth today. They talk about Solomon. For here on earth was Adam taken in by one, and Solomon by many such, and Samson likewise. Delilah dealt him his doom, and David later still was blinded by Bathsheba and badly suffered for it. Since these were troubled by their tricks, it would be true joy to love them but not believe them if a Lord could. These four all fell to schemes of women whom they used. If I'm snared, it seem, I ought to be excused. So that was just biblical examples of women undoing men. And this is Sir Gawain on the Green Knight. So the whole book's about the Knights of the Round Table. It's really about Christendom and the battles that they fought. Okay? So King Ban, King Bors, those were Lancelot's relatives. So the king with 100 knights. So when you get a chance, you can get the book and you can read it for yourself. Okay? It's pretty long. Okay? See? It's all about Jesus. Ashkenazi, they don't like the word Jesus. They're more Satanists and atheists. Okay? And it talks about England, where in England they are, the vessel of the sangreal. They talk about the knights that have trespassed in the Bible. That is when you trespass against somebody, you sin against them. Okay. So it's a pretty good book. Talks about the holy vessel they saw before them, the holy vessel, and a kneeling man in the likeness of a bishop who had about him a great fellowship of angels, as if it had been Jesus Christ himself. And the man says, I am Joseph of Arimathea, whom our Lord has sent here to thee to bear thee fellowship. And knowest thou why he had sent me rather than any other? Because thou hast resembled me in two things, that thou hast seen the marvels of the sangreal, and thou hast been a pure virgin, as I have been and am. Okay? So, Lancelot and Guinevere, the poisoned apple. So, he talks about Jesus, even though some of them were still sinning. See Sir Patrice there? And that's one of my schoolmates in Portland. Sir Lavaine. That's like Levi or Wayne. Mercy Jesus, said Sir Gawain unto King Arthur. So the only people who use Jesus are the people that will believe in a Jesus. So how are you gonna not even believe in the God of the Bible, pretend to be his people, but you don't even like the word Jesus, which the Bible says Jesus' name can never be accursed. Okay? So you can look up Culloden, the Jacobins, the Jacobites. Actually, the definition of Jacobites were Jacobites. Jacobite is a supporter of the deposed James II and his descendants in their claim to the British throne. So the whole British Empire was ruled by the children of Israel, and they are a black race. And that's why the Americas became predominantly black with them, because of the Inquisition when they were expelled to make Europe white and to keep us out of our own lands. So Jacobean relating to the reign of James I of England, 1603 to 1625. Notice the Bible for the King James was translated during that time of his reign. And the origin Latin Jacobus is James. And see James there? Where am there? Oh, in there on the other side. St. James. He's the patron saint of Jamaica. Alright, so they were all knights. Those holy kings were knights fighting the holy wars. And the children of Israel have their armies. If you don't believe they have an army, look at the army in Revelation. Even though we don't do weapons like the Edomites as prophesied in Obadiah, they love weapons. And we don't make our nest amongst the stars. We still have an army, and Christ is the head of the army, because in the children of Israel's kingdom, the kings fight, the priests fight, and the men of war fight. And our God is a man of war. He's a man of peace, but he's a man of war too. And he said there's a time and a place for everything. A time to war and a time to have peace. So it looks like the time of war is coming up soon because of the battle of Armageddon. Okay? So in the Idylls of the King, it tells you that there were warriors for Christ as well. So the king will follow Christ, and we the king, in whom high God hath breathed a secret thing, fall battle axe and flash brand, let the king reign. So sang the knights who would move into their hall. Remember Scott's Hall? Remember Chancellor Hall at University of the West Indies? That's where we get those words from. There at the banquet, those great lords from Rome, the slowly fading mistress of the world. So the Israelites put an end to the Roman kingdom when it fell. Then, as you can see, it says it was going to be revived. So in the 1400s, when they started sailing to the Americas, that's when their kingdom started reviving. Okay? And they're going to be in power at the end, because Christ says, those that pierced me shall see me at my coming. But now you're seeing the start of the decline of their kingdom in Europe, in the Americas, everywhere. Because nobody gets to rule forever except Christ. Okay? So Rome, the slowly fading mistress of the world, strode in and claimed their tribute as of yore. But Arthur spake, behold, for these have sworn to wage my wars and worship me their king. The old order changeth, yielding place to new. And we that fight for our fair father Christ, seeing that he be grown too weak and old to drive the heathen from your Roman wall, no tribute will we pay. So those great lords drew back in wrath, and Arthur strove with Rome. And Arthur and his knighthood for a space were all one will, and through that the strength the king drew in the petty princedoms under him. So it was a whole bunch of princedoms, and they fought the battles. And as you can see, it says other, he was well nigh to blackness. This is Idylls of the King, and that's one of the poets. Okay, Robbins Digital Library Project. So that's your source. Sir Gawain, your Green Knight, that's your source. The map of Jamaica, that's your source, with all these knight names and Hebrew names. Shrewsbury, Shiloh, Stonehenge, Warwick, even the Alps is there in Jamaica. Trafalgar Square in England, and Trafalgar in Jamaica. Treasure Beach, because Jamaica was once the richest place on earth and had a lot of gold and so on. You have Tyre, remember Tyre and Sidon, Ulster Spring, Vanity Fair, Vauxhall, Victoria Town. So all these queens, Stuart Town, Stuart Castle, Stuart Town, St. Margaret's Bay, St. Diego, St. Vincent, St. Tully, St. Peter, St. Paul, St. Mary, St. Leonard, St. John, St. Jago, St. Anne, St. Christopher. Christopher means Christ. Scots all, Sedberg, and the Berg names are Jew names, okay? The children of Israel are the Jews of the Bible. Also the modern day Christians, because Jamaica has more Christians per square mile than any other place. More churches per square mile than any other place in earth, okay? So Warwick, you remember Dion Warwick? We also have Jamaicans with that name. Whitehall, White Hill, White River, Whitfield, Williamsfield. Wilmington is also in Delaware, where the original pilgrims set up the 13 colonies, okay? So that's why you see we have the same names. You have Wiltshire, Windsor, the House of Windsor, Windsor Castle, Windsor Park, Woodford, York Castle, saw the York, the Yallas, York Penn, and so on, okay? So Philadelphia too, we have the Philadelphia, the 13 colonies, and it's in Jamaica too. We have Maryland, also in Jamaica, and Cambridge. Is Cambridge there? And it's in United States too, and in England. Burnt Savannah, we have Savannah in Georgia and in Jamaica. Bushy Park, remember the Bushy Locks from the children of Israel's hair. Remember the castle technology, the Barbicans. So that proves to you that the Knights of the Round Table were the holy warriors who helped to conquer Christendom for Christ. Some of them are even mentioned to be Maccabees, and they were always fighting the Greeks and the Romans from even before Christ. You know, so